Hello and welcome to Medic Talk. I'm Daniel Lohaigbe, also known as Dan the Medic, and this is a series where I bring people in or pursuing a career in medicine. So that would be medical students, medical doctors, etc., to discuss different topics relating to medicine. Mental health, a theme associated with so much stigma. It's a known fact that the recent happenings in Ukraine has taken a huge toll on people with ties with the country. Today, I'll talk with a fellow medic about mental health and how we are handling this situation. Let's get straight into the video. Hello everyone, I apologize for the slightly distorted headset. As I was traveling, it got broken. But today with me is a senior and also a good friend of mine. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Tracy Daniels. I don't know what else to add, but I'm a final year student, or I was a final year student in Kharkiv Medical University. I'm currently in Budapest. Yes.
All right.
I think that's
all right.
enough introduction.
Welcome, Tracy. It's enough. It's
Thank
enough.
You.
Welcome, Tracy. It's great to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Now we both know about all the things that have been happening in Ukraine where we study.
Yes.
We know about the uncertainty that surrounds when peace will return to the country, and then different uncertainties in general. But before we go any further, let me just ask, how are you doing? Are you alright? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm much better, actually. I think if you had asked me this question a couple of days ago, I would have had a totally different response. But I think I'm doing really well now. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know. You know, as time goes on, people eventually heal.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I personally, I feel it hasn't sunk in yet. I'm still in the, when I say doubting phase. Everything has not sunk in yet. It hasn't sunk in fully. But I guess I'm still okay. Maybe later on I'll be a little bit down, but yeah, we move. So
I wanted to ask, how we all deal with shock differently.
Yes, true, very true. I wanted to ask, how exactly did you leave Ukraine?
Well, that was actually a very crazy story. Among my friends, I was actually one of the last people to leave Kharkiv. And it was because at the time I was trying to move, taxis weren't willing to take you to the train station. So I actually left 3 days after the time that I actually intended to leave, because I spent 3 days trying to find a driver who was willing to take me to the train station. So that was a bit crazy. But I finally found a guy who decided to take me to the train station for $100. And I mean, at that point, your life is much more important than the $100. So I got a guy.
Absolutely.
Then I went to the train station. We waited for about, I think, an hour or two. Then we heard that a train to Lviv was coming. And the hassle to get on that train was crazy. One of my friends, we were a group of 5, and actually one of my friends ended up being left behind. He couldn't get on the train because, they were only letting women and children on. And, so at that point, we're all on the train. We didn't know whether to get off the train so that we would all be together or just leave. But even the space to get off the train wasn't there because there were so many people on the train. So, we just had to leave him behind. But he eventually met up with us in Lviv. He got on another train and we met up in Lviv. So from Lviv, we had to get another train to Uzhgorod. And from Uzhgorod, we had to find a van that was willing to take us to the border. I crossed through the Kherson border, and it took about 2 days from the time I got to the border before I finally got to Budapest. So in total, I think it took like 4 days for me to actually leave Ukraine. So that was intense.
My goodness. And I thought
It
I
was
had it
very,
bad. Anyway,
very intense.
for me, what actually happened,
Yeah.
because I submitted my passport and then my residence permit for renewal, and even as of now, I'm not still with my passport or residence permit. I submitted it. I was expecting it on the 2nd of March, but you know, everything started before the 2nd of March. And then they organized something initially that we should get our passports and residence permits before the 2nd of March. But unfortunately, everything fell. It just went away, and we couldn't get our passports and residence permits. So I had to leave Ukraine without my passport or post visa, which is quite sad. And initially, when I got to Uzhgorod, I went to the border with Hungary that starts with a B. I went there initially, and then I was turned back. So I had to go to the Chop border. So it was a quite crazy experience, to be honest. But thank God, at least I was still able to get in. And then I got to Hungary and spent a little while there, and I decided to come back to Nigeria. But I didn't spend as long as you did. And then another thing again is, I think it's probably because of the people I went with. But I don't want to go into too much details. We will talk about it some other time. Let's get to what we have for today.
Right.
So, tell me, what have you been doing, like, whilst school is not in session? What have you been doing in general?
Well, it's been a mixture of things, a bit of research, trying to get as much information as possible concerning, other schools, and trying to get information from my school as well, because, I'm a final year student and I just had 3-4 months to graduate. And so it's very, it's quite disheartening, to be honest, because you don't know whether you're going to have to do final year again. You don't know whether your school is going to come back online and you'll be able to write your final exams. So all of that, I've been trying to find research. My family is also breathing down my neck, as in asking so many questions. And so I've been doing research, trying to look at other options. I'm preparing myself for worst case scenario and best case scenario, so that whatever happens, at least I have a plan for that. Because the first and second year students who left Ukraine, they have the opportunity to start again. They haven't really lost that much time, but starting again is not really an option for me. So I've just been trying to look at all my options right now, and even other other universities, that are willing to take students from Ukraine. Without our transcripts, they can't really take you. So I'm sort of just waiting as well to hear from my school.
Regarding the whole transcript stuff, I actually tried in Hungary. But the only thing they were offering was temporary admission, and I wasn't really pleased by that. So I lost interest and I decided to come back.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite understandable, because no university can actually admit you without knowing your history. So, I mean, I kind of understand it from their point of view. I just hope that our school is able to respond as quickly as possible, because it's like our lives are just on standby right now. We don't know what's going on.
True. This might seem weird to ask, but tell me, how have you been taking care of your mental health? Because we know that this whole situation is it can be quite intense, or it can be it weighs you down. So tell me, how have you been taking care of your mental health?
Well, initially, when this whole thing started, I thought that I needed to be alone, and I think that was a mistake I made at the beginning. Through all the stress, through the intensity of everything, I thought that I needed to be alone just to have time to myself to think. But as time went on, and when I got to Budapest, I realized that, the more I was alone and the more I isolated myself from the world, the more depressed I was getting, and the more I was in my own head. And so from the time I got to Budapest, I just reconnected with all of my friends and just always made sure that I had people around me, supportive people around me. I think that's very helpful because, if you leave yourself to your emotions, your mind sort of takes over, and it's not a very helpful thing. It's not a very helpful thing. So I think what has helped me so far is the people that I've chosen to surround myself with. They're constantly supporting me, and just having people to laugh with and distract yourself. And we know that we're thinking about school, but forget about it for a couple of minutes and just try to laugh, try to be happy, watch a movie, go out. Budapest is actually a very beautiful place, and we've been going sightseeing, just things to distract yourself, because I don't think the sitting down and meditating on the situation is actually helpful. I mean, sometimes we're deceived into thinking that that's what we need, and we try to, human as we are, we try to justify our pain, that, okay, I've gone through this, so I'm justified. My sadness is justifiable, and my depression is justifiable. But I think you have to get to a point where you have to realize that, no, yes, things are a bit messy, but I want to choose to be happy. And you just have to take that initiative and do everything you can to be happy, even in this uncertainty. Otherwise, you're just going to get depressed. And I see it with a lot of people around me that, they're just justifying the depression and the pain, and they're holding on to it, and they don't want to let it go. And that was me at the beginning. But I think so far, what has helped my mental health is the fact that I decided to choose to be happy, that yes, this situation is terrible. Let's not sugarcoat it, but you have a chance to start over, no matter how hard it will be. But if you sit down and hold on to that pain and that confusion and that depression, you might just lose sight of, any other opportunity that might come your way. And so that's what I personally have been doing, just try to be around people, or lively people anyway, not people that constantly remind you of the situation, people that can make you laugh, people that can take your mind off it, because, when you talk to your family, they constantly remind you of the situation. So you need a distraction. You really need to distract yourself. You need to find a hobby. You need to find a passion, something other than your situation. Otherwise, you're just gonna get seriously depressed, and that was what was happening to me. So, I mean, I'm happy that I was able to come out of that.
I was going to ask about. I was going to ask you for some advice, but I think that already covers everything, and I really don't have any. I don't really have any more to add. Well said, spot on.
Thank you.
In general, like, what do you think countries can do to make things better for students in general? Do you feel that, let's say for instance, Ghana, for instance, do you think it's possible to accept students from Ukraine, or do you think there needs to be certain exam that needs to be taken, for instance? And then even if there's an exam to be taken, how likely do you see that occurring?
Well, for Ghana so far, I haven't seen anything like that. I think it would be very helpful if the government does find a way to be able to assimilate the students coming from Ukraine, because just this morning I was talking to another Ghanaian, and he was telling me that there were about 1,500 Ghanaian students that had to leave Ukraine. And that is a huge number, and that's even just an estimate, meaning that there could be more. So I really think that, the universities in Ghana should find a way to try and assimilate students. I mean, some of the universities here that are accepting students that have their transcripts, they do request that the students take an aptitude test so that they know what level those students are on, and they know where to place you. And I mean, if that is what Ghana can adapt, I think it would be very helpful. I mean, you could test them, you could examine them to, see what kind of level they are on, and just put them back in school. It's not, because I think the reason why many people don't want to come back home is because they're going to come home and they're going to sit down, and they're not going to have any opportunity to continue their education, and nobody just wants to come home and sit down, especially the final year students and the 5th year students and the students who are doing their masters. They don't want to come back home not knowing what's going to happen. But I feel like if the government actually finds a way to assimilate them, even if you have to give us an exam to write before, that's fine. But just find a way to put us back into an educational system, because Kharkiv, for instance, I don't see Kharkiv recovering anytime soon. Other cities weren't that involved in the war, and so they might recover in a couple of weeks or in a couple of months. But I look at Kharkiv and I'm just like, it's going to take a long time for the city to rebuild itself to what it was. And to ask a student to wait till that happens is a bit unfair. And so I feel like they should actually find a way to take them back into the educational system, because it's very painful. I can speak on behalf of the medical students who have done 4 years, 5 years, 5.5 years, and then just to be left just like that at this point, not knowing whether you're going to graduate or not, and to feel like your own country is not helping. It's a bit disheartening, to feel that other countries are trying to be a bit more helpful and a bit more understanding than your own country is very disheartening, to be honest. So I think, I speak for Ghana, that I think Ghana can do more. It might take some time. I understand that nobody planned this. Nobody planned this, and nobody thought this was going to happen.
We hope that everything resolves at least, and then we hope that the countries will actually make some necessary adjustments and put people in schools, because it's the same thing in Nigeria as well. At least little bit of assistance was given for people that were coming back. They organized a lot of planes, and then also they gave a little bit of, they call it palliative package for those that are coming back. But that's not enough. More needs to be done. Fixing students in school so that they don't roam about should be a priority. And honestly, I don't think I need to add more to what you said. I don't think I need to add more to what you said. Let's not make the video too long. Thank you so much, Tracy, for accepting my invitation. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
I hope that stability and peace will come to Ukraine as soon as possible. Be sure to subscribe and like this video. Check out the official Dan the Medic website for more useful content. You can get in touch with Tracy via Instagram. The links to everything mentioned will be in the description box below. Goodbye and take care of yourselves.